All right, we're at the Highway Patrol post regarding the assignments or location of the officers in question, and we did file the records request for additional records on your case. Now, where do you want to take this as far as where it should go? I mean, I know you filed a complaint with the headquarters in Sacramento, and if you're not satisfied with the answer, what's the next step you want to take?
The next step for me would be to go ahead and take it to federal court.
Okay. And what grounds of action you want to file against the officers?
Malicious prosecution, false arrest, false imprisonment, and there are other things that I'm not thinking off the top of my head.
But those are
excessive force. So.
Okay, so those are major issues. So if you're not satisfied with the results of the IA investigation, then you'll take it up to a higher level.
Yes.
Okay, very good then.
Okay, so Alcosta Boulevard is the next exit before the 580-680 interchange. We're actually on 680 southbound. I was in this number 1 lane traveling southbound. And at some point I noticed a patrol car approaching and coming through traffic pretty fast, and I was nearing my exit, so I actually got over 1 lane and then got over another lane. So at that point I would be in the number 3 lane, which was directly in front of the patrol car. And then he said for me to, he was on the megaphone. I could hear that he was on the megaphone.
At this point?
Maybe not quite this soon. I could hear him being on the megaphone. This is the interchange. I could hear him on the megaphone. I could not understand what he was saying, but I did pull over immediately.
Where at?
Probably like right along here.
Alright, I'll get in that lane and slow down.
No, we need to stay here. And so on the megaphone, the only thing I heard, or what I thought I heard, was him saying, "Get back on the freeway." Well, since I was on 680, I got back on 680. And we are getting real close to the overpass. Stay here and slow down, and we can actually pull over. So right in here is where I pulled over. Initially, he told me to stay. No, we don't want to take that exit. We want to stay in that lane. And so I got back on the freeway here. So this was just very confusing what he wanted me to do, and where he wanted me to start. But because I got back on the freeway, I stopped here under the overpass. And I was just beyond this rail. Just beyond this rail is where I actually managed to stop, right about here. So that's it.
Okay, so Miss Holland, this is a complaint against the California Highway Patrol, and I'm looking, let's see what division or section it would be. Dublin, California?
Dublin, California.
Dublin, where's that at?
From here, it's probably about 40 miles.
40 miles? How many minutes?
Probably about 35, 40.
Oh, so pretty quick then.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm looking at your complaint and looking at the police report. The incident occurred March 23rd at 2:30 p.m. and it was on an interstate highway, correct?
Yes.
All right. What's the location?
I was heading southbound on 680.
Mm-hmm. Do you know what mile marker, what exit?
It was actually pretty close to the 580, 680 exchange. So there's another freeway that crosses there.
So this is 680
580.
and 580.
Right.
Okay, and that was, you said southbound?
Yes.
Okay. All right, and you know the name of the highway patrol officer?
Yes. Jay Azevedo.
Azevedo. Do you know the first name or just the first initial?
I think it's John.
John?
Yes.
The male?
Yes.
Okay, because I was looking at the video on there was a female.
There's three.
Three females?
Three officers.
Okay, there was a female officer
Yes.
too. Okay.
Yes.
And was that the one that actually you had physical contact with?
Yes.
All right. And according to the report, you were stopped because the registration on your vehicle was expired. Is that what they told you?
No. When he came to my window, he said he stopped me because I swerved.
Okay. What manner did he say you were swerving?
He just said swerved, singular.
Okay. Because it's already sounding like it's starting to fall apart. Hold on a second, Mr. Kamal is calling.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Kamal, we're on the record.
Okay, excellent. You're there with Trust Holland?
Yeah, I just spoke to her
Boyfriend.
got his information, and we're going over the traffic stop right now.
Okay, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. All right, well, take your time. You're also there to do anything that she wants done, and if there are any other witnesses or any other character witnesses who can speak favorably about her personality, how she in community activism, anything that's positive, I also want that on the record. I don't think we need it so much for the investigation because she has no criminal record, but I do want to get anyone on the record who has a record of her conduct, because what they're going to keep pointing back to is her conduct in that traffic stop, and I want to be able to balance that out and show the whole person.
Okay.
So if there's anyone else you can think of,
I did inform her that she's not the only person that has an issue with the highway patrol in this area, and that we've been investigating other complaints.
Yeah, we got about 3 up there, so they've got problems in that county, and I think if we start digging deep into the conduct of these officers, we're going to run into more.
Right. Very good. Then I'll continue with the interview and gather the evidence as needed, and then I'll submit the complaint when it's all done.
Okay, beautiful. Let me know if you need anything, and no, it's probably better if you tell me, because I'm on the line with like three clients in the next 2 hours, and if you call in, it'll bump the call off. So just tell me, let me know, and I'll contact you as soon as I get a break. Okay,
all right, I'll talk to her.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, thank you, Celeste. Take care.
You too. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay. So, I'm looking at the report, and it says I observed the southbound vehicle traveling, particularly in the center divide, directly ahead of my vehicle. I observed then suddenly merged into the number 3 lane. Doesn't really indicate any violation of the vehicle code. If he would have said the driver merged into another lane without signaling, then that would be a violation of vehicle code. But it just says you merge into another lane, and then the rear license plate displayed expired registration. Now, what was the status of your registration at the time you were stopped?
It was expired.
Okay. How long has it been expired?
At that point, quite a while.
Okay. And then they signal you to pull over, and then he used the PA to notify you to exit onto 580. Did you hear him talk on the PA?
You know what? I heard him get on the PA. I could not hear what he said.
Mm-hmm.
The only part that I think I heard him say was get back on the freeway. Well, I was on 680. Why would I go to 580? Where he pulled me over was actually quite dangerous.
And how much traffic was present at the time?
It was about 2:30 in the afternoon on
just before the rush hour.
Friday. It was
it was on a Friday. Okay.
Yeah, it was. I would say moderate.
So it was already confusing enough without him being involved.
Without him bellowing on the megaphone or whatever that thing is.
So a reasonable person would have a hard time understanding what direction
exactly he wanted.
Okay, so it would not be unusual to there would be confusion. I mean, it's not like you get stopped in that section of the road every day because
no, it's right at the exchange, so you could really have gone. I could have really have gone.
Okay.
Kind of one of three ways.
And it says the driver had opened the window approximately 5 inches.
Good for me.
Technically, there's nothing illegal with doing that.
That's enough. It's down.
Okay, he asked for your registration, license, and insurance, and you asked him if he was a police officer?
No, I asked him if he was a public servant.
Okay, but it was obvious he was a highway patrol.
He was in uniform.
Okay, because sometimes police will stop somebody in a marked police car and they're wearing street clothes, and that would. But he was in a marked highway patrol vehicle and wearing a full uniform. Okay. Is there a reason why you asked if he was a public servant?
Just did.
Okay. Okay, that's fine. And did he inform you why he stopped you at that point?
The only thing he said was that I swerved. He said nothing about my tag being expired.
Okay, because right there, that's an uncertain reason why people can swerve within their lane. When you change lanes, do you remember even using your turn signal?
Oh, absolutely.
To indicate that you were changing lane? Okay.
Absolutely.
So, in a way, I can kind of read through that a little bit. Because if he noticed that you didn't use a turn signal, he probably would have annotated on his report. So, something tells me that just having an expired registration alone may not be enough to warrant a traffic stop. I don't know California law. I mean, Illinois, Indiana, and the Midwest, if you have expired registration, they can pull you over to inspect to see if you have it. But it doesn't indicate that he ran your license registration through the computer system, at least at that point. And you say you had a valid license, or where's it expired?
I did have my. It turned out I did have my license, and it was expired. Mm-hmm. It's renewed now because I was coerced into doing that in order to get my...
And how were you coerced?
In order to get my vehicle back, I had to get insurance and registration, and at some point they wanted me to possibly show proof in court that I had all three.
Was this ordered by a judge or by somebody?
The bail bond, and actually when I called to pick up my car, they wanted me to have a license, but in fact I had to have the car towed because it didn't start. So and then when I took it to the Mercedes dealership for them to work on it and fix the window, they couldn't get it started, and then I don't know what they did, but somehow they got it started.
Okay. Because I'm trying to figure out how you were coerced into having to come up with all this proof that you have registered.
Well, because I had to have the proof, or they weren't going to release my car to me. That
was a highway patrol.
Yes.
Not the judge. You're talking.
No,
about.
this was long before I went to court.
Okay. Now, is there a law saying that you have to have everything up to date before they give you the vehicle, or is that just something they arbitrarily decide to do on their own?
I don't know. I actually, when my car was impounded, I just had, certain things that the CHP told me to do in order to get it back, and to have the license, registration, and insurance were the 3 things to get it back.
Okay.
Because I had it towed, I didn't actually have my license, but I had like a 1-day permit so they could put it on the tow truck and move it around.
And let's go back to the traffic stop.
Okay.
Obviously, you were not happy with the situation, and your demeanor probably conveyed that to the officer that you weren't happy, which, people have the right to not be happy.
Somebody yells at me, I'm going to yell back.
Yeah. And yelling is still free speech. As long as you're not making threats, you're welcome to yell at a police officer all you want, but then police officers tend to want to yell louder and harder right back at you. I want to talk about the reason for this officer wanting to do a DUI evaluation.
No idea.
Did he just say, get out of the car and I want to field test you, or?
Well, what he did is he had me sign. Oh wait, no. Okay.
Before the DUI test.
He stopped me.
Okay.
He stopped me. I gave him my passport.
So you did identify yourself?
Yes.
Okay, with a passport.
With my passport. And so, he knew who I was. So when he came back to the car, I'm trying to think if he had his backup guy. I think he had his backup officer, Estes, at that point. So he wrote out a ticket, and I signed. No. He gave me the DUI test before. Oh my God. I don't even know.
Well, let me cut through my observation. In a DUI stop, there has to be 2 observations before you're even asked to exit the vehicle to do a sobriety test. One, you got to see the vehicle in motion. Is the vehicle driving erratic? Is the vehicle, is the driver in control of the vehicle? If you see the vehicle swerving, that may indicate to you, okay, the driver's not in total control. Then you have the personal conduct or contact of the driver, and basically it is, roll down your window, let me talk to you, and you have to detect some kind of signs of intoxication, either by drug or alcohol. And the clues that a police officer is required to observe are things like the odor of alcohol coming from the person, slurred speech, not cohesive, coordinating very well. Okay, only thing it says here that you were aggravated, which you don't have to be drunk to be aggravated.
Too bad.
Yeah. So he failed to justify pulling you out of the car to do a sobriety test because there was no, you had the vehicle in motion, which saw the vehicle swerving, but no, on the personal contact part, there's no signs of you ever drink. Even
because I wasn't.
Okay, so you in fact was not drinking that day. Were you taking any medication to make you?
No.
Okay, so no medication that would harm your judgment. So he jumped into the stage 3, which is the pre-apprehension screening phase, and found out that, okay, you haven't been drinking. Which, since you weren't arrested for it, that's not a crime. But to me, that's just a lack of skill and training. I see two deficiencies in this report so far, and we haven't even gotten to the arrest. So,
right.
Now, the highway patrol officer, was his demeanor, was he aggravated, emotionally upset? Was he?
I think that I'm not sure that you can see it or necessarily hear it, but at some point there was yelling at me, so I was yelling back. And actually, I think everything was fine, you know, between me, until I signed the ticket, handed it back to him, and then he said he was going to tow my car. And I said, no, you're not. Now, he claims that he told me that I needed to call someone to come and get me and my car. I don't remember that. But, you know, in any event, there was absolutely nothing that I did that merited, you know, breaking in my window and all that kind of stuff.
Okay. So you received the citation.
Yes, and I signed it. And what I know about...
And you kept the citation, or did you give it back to him?
Oh, no, I gave it back to him. Signed it and gave it.
Oh, okay. So
did
he give you a copy of the
yes.
citation? And you kept that, right, for yourself? And in your mind, did that conclude the traffic stop?
Yes.
But then he went on to tell you you need somebody...
He said, well, now I'm going to tow your car. And I said, no, you're not. And I rolled up my window and I refused to talk to him.
Okay.
So then after a few minutes, I kind of calmed down a little bit. And he came and tapped on the window and, excuse me, and, you know, said, you know, I'm going to give you 2 minutes, you know, before I call my supervisor. Go ahead. In the meantime...
Yeah, because you said after 2 minutes, I went back to the... So
in the meantime, I guess he had called the tow truck driver, and actually the tow truck driver came onto the freeway, the exit in front of where I was actually parked, and had to make his way back to where we actually were. So, you know, and you can see that.
So when the tow truck arrived, did you try to drive off?
Never.
Okay.
I mean, that is
and
so
they
absurd.
wanted you to get out of the truck.
You know what? Let me just say this about that. That is such an absurd comment, because at the time that he claims I would have tried to have done that, I was totally boxed in. The tow truck driver was in front of me. There was another CHP Estes' vehicle was beside me, and Azevedo's vehicle was behind me. Okay. Where am I going to go?
So basically, you got the traffic ticket. You were free to leave. You just couldn't take the car with you. You could have just got out of the car.
They never said that.
Yeah, but I mean, you got the ticket. They were basically done with you. They weren't done with the car. You could have just technically got out of the car and walked home.
That's what I would have assumed.
And at that point, I think that was the legal premise of the situation. Now, once the tow truck arrived, if the tow truck driver would have hooked onto your car and you were still in it, what would you have done?
What can I do?
Just sit in the car?
Just sit there.
There's nothing wrong with it. I mean, I've known people to sit in the car.
That's all I did, was I sat in my car.
So the situation was escalated because although you were free to leave, the car wasn't free to leave, or you weren't free to take the car with you, unless somebody else come and picked it up that had a driver's license. So this is almost kind of a self-inflicted incident by the officer. Now, and I saw the video of them breaking the window and pulling you out of the car, and that's self-explanatory. I want to get into what happened behind the camera. What happened behind the camera?
After I was handcuffed and they put my purse on the hood of Azevedo's CHP vehicle, the female officer took me to the I think to her vehicle, and pushed me over the hood of the car and started grabbing my right breast and just squeezing it and squeezing it and squeezing it. And I'm just thinking to myself, this is no pat down. I mean, my God, she just went on, and I finally looked down like, what in the hell are you doing? She switched to the other side, She didn't spend quite as much time with my left breast, but I still was thinking this is just so out of line. There's absolutely no reason to be touching me in this kind of way. It's not. She wasn't looking for anything. She was just filling me up. Mm-hmm. Then she takes her hand and her arm and shoves it between my legs and fingers me front to back as hard as she could and for as long as she could. And I yell out, "Oh, hell no." And she said, "Well, hell yeah." And I'm like, whatever the hell that means. But then at some point, like after that, she said, "Well, you're being recorded." And I said, "Well, so are you." And that was pretty much the end of it. She actually took me to the jail. Once we were at the jail, we were met by Officer Azevedo.
Were you physically injured?
I had some small cuts and bruises. And I know that with her fingering me, because I had on tight jeans, thank God, she cut me, down in the
Were you able to
delicate
have these injuries medically documented?
There might be the cuts and bruises, yes, but I did not go to a gynecologist or anything like that for.
Because you went to a regular doctor.
Well, they had a nurse there that didn't even want to look in my eye to see if I had glass in it, and I actually did have glass in my eye.
Okay. And you were charged with resisting an arrest.
How can you arrest someone for resisting arrest when there's nothing you're arresting them for? That makes no sense to me.
I understand that because, you can obstruct the performance of a police officer if they have a lawful reason to tell you to do something. That's obstructing, but resisting arrest usually means that you're placed under arrest and then you decide not to be arrested. And you go against, and you were arrested for.
Well, you can see that in the video.
By definition of law, you were arrested for not having a driver's license, but then you were released to go about your business. So you were unarrested at that point and was free to leave, but you choose to stay in the car. Even if the tow truck driver was going to take off, you were going to stay in the car, which at that point you were not, you're not bound to law enforcement. So I see that there is a lack of demeanor between looking at the video, the report, and your statement. My conclusion is there's a lack of demeanor with good or appropriate demeanor with the highway patrol officer, and I would expect the highway patrol to be highly trained and very knowledgeable on traffic laws and procedures, and I'm not impressed with their work here. I'm honestly not impressed with their work. They could have done a lot more to. They could have stopped you because you had improper, your registration was invalid. They could have wrote you a ticket for having no driver's license. They could have told you, you're gonna have to get somebody with a driver's license to take off of the car. But that was it. That's all they could have done. They didn't have any right to do what they did, in my opinion. And so.
Well, I have something else to say. The female cop is the supervisor. Mm-hmm. Now, in my
and what's her name? Do you know her name?
Officer S. Pacheco.
Pacheco.
Pacheco. So, in my limited experience in business, a supervisor diffuses a situation. A supervisor does not antagonize a situation. When she came to my window, when she arrived and I rolled down the window, and she was physically shaking. And
was she shaking from anger, or was she nervous, or?
It looked like adrenaline, anger. The expression on her face, everything. And I'm like, who the hell are you to be mad at me? It's like, what the hell? That makes no sense to me. That's not professional. It's not, it's not just a basic courtesy. It's not the behavior of a supervisor that is there to, presumably diffuse a situation. She exacerbated it. And, it's like the action got, real fun for them, I'm guessing, when she arrived.
Okay.
I mean, this is.
I think I have enough for the record. So you're her husband?
No.
Okay.
Just boyfriend.
Oh, just boyfriend. Okay. So you guys, you guys live together.
Yes.
And when she called you the day she was stopped, what did she tell you?
She told me she'd been pulled over and they had written her a ticket. And she was upset because they were, I believe she said they were going to tow her car. And she was very upset about that.
Did you see the video, the dash cam video?
Yeah, I have seen parts. I haven't watched. It was kind of extensive. I haven't watched the whole thing.
Okay. Did she call to have you come out and pick her up?
No. When we were on the phone talking is actually when they actually broke the window.
So, okay. How long were you on the phone prior to the breaking of the window?
Just a couple of minutes, I think.
Okay. So she basically called to tell you that they're impounding the vehicle, that she was stopped.
Well, she was really upset that basically saying they didn't have the right to take the car, and then I heard the window break and a lot of screaming and yelling, and then the phone went dead.
Okay. But she did acknowledge it. It was the highway patrol that did it.
Yes.
Was the license, the registration to the vehicle, was it expired when she was stopped?
I believe it was.
Okay. Did it have valid insurance?
I don't think she did.
Okay. Okay. And she didn't indicate that the highway patrol officer demanded that somebody come and pick up the vehicle.
I don't recall that at all.
Okay.
I think things got a little crazy.
Yeah, I see it did. Now, was she taken to jail?
Yes, she was.
Did you have to post her bond?
Yes, I did.
How much was her bond?
It was $600.
Okay. And do you know what the bond was for? What the charge was?
No, not offhand.
Okay. All right. Just give me your take of it. What's your opinion of it for the whole situation?
Well, obviously they, smashing the window in, trying to drag her out of the car, and arresting her and taking her to jail. That was a little crazy. Registration, insurance, like that. The rules are the rules.
Mm-hmm.
Usually, you just get if your registration's out, you get a ticket.
Mm-hmm.
You sign the ticket and you go on your merry way, and you got to clear that up.
Oh, does she have a driver's license?
She does, yeah.
Did she at the time?
It had actually, I believe, expired.
So she had an expired license.
She had expired.
So when she was driving without one, it was just expired.
Just expired.
Okay. All right. But understandably, that you know, you have a driver's license expired, you still can't drive, but it's
Right.
it's not the same as driving without one or driving with a suspended or revoked license, and that's something completely different. All right, well, thanks. The complaint by Ms. Holland has been hand-delivered to Risk Management for the California Highway Patrol headquarters, state headquarters, located in Sacramento, California.